HSPM 700, Module 3, Motivating People. Remember our idea of needs. So needs is fundamental for anything that we're going to be talking about in terms of motivation. There are content perspectives of motivation and process perspectives of motivation. First, we're talking about the content perspectives. First up, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Second, Hertzberg's two-factor theory. And then third, the general idea that there are learned needs that we all have. For Maslow's hierarchy of needs, hopefully you've watched the YouTube video. Just remember that there are fundamental needs for food, safety, water, and then going up the pyramid, higher level needs for security, for belonging, self-esteem, and finally self-actualization. Maslow's needs have been adapted many times, and so there can be other layers that are inserted in here, but the general idea is that until needs at the lower level are satisfied, an individual cannot move into the next higher level. And so this is fundamental to Maslow. Some individuals, food, safety, security, housing are as far as they ever get. For others, the important things for them in life are transformational, transcendental, the very highest order of needs. Now let's talk about Hertzberg's two-factor theory. The two factors are hygiene factors, and hygiene factors, according to Hertzberg, only can dissatisfy. And you see some of the examples of things that cause dissatisfaction. The key here is that these can only cause an individual to be dissatisfied. They can never, according to Hertzberg, cause one to be satisfied. According to Maslow and Hertzberg, these things are the fundamental issues that really satisfy an individual and make them feel good about themselves. And Hertzberg calls these satisfiers. So these are very different than Hertzberg's hygiene factors. These are things that really mean a lot to an individual. These are the important things in life. As you see on the slide, responsibility, growth, the work itself, the opportunity for achievement, recognition. This is back to, remember theory Y, that work itself has value for individuals. And also, as you recall, human relations theory. This slide shows some of Hertzberg's research. That again, these concepts have been highly researched, and this is where he got his two-factor theory. Some items only tend to make someone satisfied or motivated, and the hygiene factors, are only the sources of dissatisfaction. This slide combines the ideas of both Maslow and Hertzberg. Again, they're very similar, these content perspectives based upon needs, and this combines the two-factor theory of Hertzberg and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, how do we use this concept of needs and process to motivate individuals? Well, first, no simple set of needs and satisfiers apply universally to everyone. So people differ based on age, gender, race, where they are in life, the stage of life that they're in. Different items, different issues tend to motivate them differently. The context in which they live, their culture. Persons' needs change over time, so they're not static. And persons and employees in different positions differ in terms of their needs. So the key message here is, in terms of applying this, one size doesn't fit all. So now we're going to begin to talk about not the content perspectives of motivation, but the process perspective. So how does this actually work? So under Maslow and Hertzberg, we talked about needs, and remember, those lower order needs like money, position, status are only hygiene factors. They can't really ultimately satisfy someone. So we'll learn more about what really what the process of an individual, of an employee, goes through in terms of becoming satisfied. So how can you use these theories to better motivate persons? The first process perspective that we're going to study is the idea of equity. And that is all about the importance of fairness. And so employees look around and they want to make sure, if they have an issue or concern, they want to make sure the first thing is, are they being treated fairly? Are their contributions rewarded proportion to what they're contributing to the organization? Are others around them receiving similar rewards for similar activities? And so you as a manager, you should be looking at the importance of equity to reduce inequities and to restore balance within the organization. And basically the idea is that workers compare themselves to other workers. This is more about the process that individuals go through in this comparison. So let's say someone just received a bonus. Well, rather than sometimes being happy about that, they think first, well, gee, that's pretty nice. But right on the heels of that, the next thing they think is, wonder what the other guy in the cubicle next to me, wonder what they got. And third, they will think, how come I didn't get that? And fourth, finally, they'll wonder, why is there such a difference? The next theory, in terms of the process, is expectancies theory, the power of one's expectations. And this is a very complex idea, is that employees, well, people naturally do just enough to get the reward that they expect. And in other words, they plan ahead, they do their work in order to receive a certain reward. And I don't want to go into this too deeply because it's very complex, but there's several ideas here, is that there's a link between effort and performance. And if you want to know more about the power of expectancy theory, watch the video. Goal setting and feedback. So a goal is something that an individual consciously attempts to attain. Remember our need to win the football game, to motivate the players, to work as a team. So these are goals, and goals have a positive influence on performance. So this is a basic management technique that is used. It spans multiple theories and theoretical perspectives, but setting goals and conditioning rewards based upon performance. And remember, again, those rewards don't necessarily need to be things that we think of as tangible, those lower level rewards in Maslow and Hertzberg, but the rewards for recognition, influence, status, and achievement. Those are important rewards as well. And so as a manager, you have a real power to set goals for your employees and give them feedback as they accomplish those goals. Operant conditions or behavioral modification. I included this just to give you a perspective that this is a very basic view of motivation, behavior modification, and it's one that I would not recommend you adopting at all. It just is very prevalent, this idea out in the workplace, that a manager can get what they want done by a simple behavior modification. If someone does good work, they'll give them a certain reward. And so that is that idea about human behavior. We've gone well beyond that in both the process and the content theories of modification. So we don't see this idea of operant condition, although it's a very well-known theory of human behavior and ways to motivate certain behavior. Certainly you've heard of the animal studies, we don't pay much attention to this technique in terms of motivating behavior. So remember, in reviewing the concepts of motivation, remember the process and content theories. The content of the work itself and the rewards associated with that is usually not enough to motivate people. They're usually motivated by what we would see as higher level goals and higher level rewards that appear in Maslow, that appear in Hertzberg, and that are the processes that individuals are paying attention to, not just the content itself. In considering motivating healthcare professionals, consider the original reason that most healthcare professionals entered their chosen profession, and that is to help others. So keep that in mind, that basically altruistic goals and objectives, those higher level needs and wants, are the things that motivate healthcare professionals most. And also that motivating healthcare professionals is not just a simple interaction between the manager and the employee, that's often very complex, and others get to play in this game as well. Codes of ethics for professional groups, licensing, and there are lots of legal constraints on how you can go about working with and motivating healthcare professionals. Remember, back to our theories, there's not one best way to motivate physicians, and financial incentives or payment systems alone do not always work. With nurses, there's a whole set of constraints that managers and leaders have to deal with that are fundamentally issues of motivation. And so there's a high level of job dissatisfaction within the nursing profession, a lot of turnover, a lot of dissatisfaction with the job. And so the key job of a leader and manager with nurses is to begin to be able to appeal to those higher level needs, which all nurses have. That's the basic reason that they entered the profession. There are many motivational problems that are associated with clerical staff and administrative staff, and oftentimes we think of these staff as having different needs, and nothing could be further from the truth. And so an important goal of a manager and a leader is to really engage those persons that sometimes we see as being at the bottom of the organization, and engage them in the work and the mission and the key goals of an organization. Again, remember our analogy of the team and winning. We have to involve everyone in the mission of the organization and motivate everyone to share the goals. And so I would not recommend you looking at those so-called lower level professions or groups, the clerical administrative workers, as being any different from physicians and nurses and other persons in the organization. Again, you are the manager. You have control. Back to the beginning, that motivation, according to Goldman, is one of those 5 components that you have control over. But your job as a manager, those social skills, is to be able to motivate others. And by using these theories, especially paying attention to those higher level needs and not assuming that persons are motivated by those lower level needs in Maslow and in Hertzberg, you will be a real winner as a leader and a manager.